Tariffs have long been a cornerstone of international trade relations, serving as tools for governments to regulate the flow of goods between countries. They are essentially taxes imposed on imported goods, making them more expensive and thus less competitive compared to domestically produced items. Over the years, tariffs have been used not only for economic reasons, but also as instruments of political leverage. The concept of tariffs has gained significant attention, especially in recent years as global trade dynamics have shifted and governments, particularly in the United States, have used them as part of broader political and economic strategies. In the last decade, the Trump administration's tariff policies, particularly its trade war with China, sparked debates about the effectiveness of such measures and their long-term consequences for the global economy. This video delves into the nature of tariffs, their intended purposes, and the political implications of their use. We will explore the case of the Trump administration's tariff policies, their impact on the U.S. economy, and the broader implications for global trade. Furthermore, we will consider the potential consequences of tariffs on international relations, consumer markets, and industries, including the automotive and agricultural sectors. Lastly, we will analyze the role of tariffs in the geopolitical context, exploring how they have been wielded as tools of negotiation and economic power, and whether they truly benefit or harm the nations that impose them. At their core, tariffs are taxes imposed by a government on imported goods and services. By making foreign products more expensive, tariffs aim to encourage consumers to buy domestic goods, thereby supporting local industries and businesses. The basic idea behind tariffs is that they create a price advantage for homegrown products, which can lead to increased demand for domestic goods, greater employment, and a more favorable balance of trade. In practice, tariffs can take various forms, such as ad valorem tariffs. These are calculated as a percentage of the value of the imported goods. Specific tariffs. These are fixed fees imposed per unit of the imported goods, e.g. per kilogram or per item. Compound tariffs. These combine both ad valorem and specific tariffs, providing a dual layer of taxation. While tariffs are often viewed as tools for protecting domestic industries, their broader impact extends beyond national borders. They influence global supply chains, trade negotiations, and international economic relations. The use of tariffs can shape a country's relationships with its trading partners and affect its standing in international forums, such as the World Trade Organization. One of the most prominent and controversial uses of tariffs in recent history occurred during the Trump administration. In 2018, President Donald Trump imposed a series of tariffs on a wide range of goods, particularly targeting China. The administration's stated goal was to reduce the U.S. trade deficit, protect American jobs, and address what it perceived as unfair trade practices by China, such as intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and currency manipulation.
Here's the truth. Kamala wants to put massive taxes on American jobs and American industries. I want to cut taxes on Americans while putting tariffs on China and foreign countries to bring our jobs back home to Pennsylvania and to take in billions and billions of dollars. You know, I'm the only one that ever took in any money from China. China was really hitting us hard, ripping us apart. That means many, many presidents. And what happened is I put a tariff on, then I raised the tariff. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. And Biden can't, it's so much money, he's trying to rescind it for a couple of reasons. Number one, he got a lot of money from China. Got like, didn't he get 3.5 million, 4 million? That they know of. But he got a lot more than that. His family made a lot of money with China. He wants to get rid of the tariff, but he can't because there's so much money they can't do anything with the budget. A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's a tax on us. No, no, no. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax on a country that's ripping us off and stealing our jobs.
However, these tariffs also had far-reaching consequences, both in the U.S. and globally. The Trump administration's tariffs were primarily focused on goods such as steel, aluminum, washing machines, solar panels, and a wide variety of Chinese products. By 2019, tariffs affected more than $380 billion worth of trade, resulting in a tax increase of nearly $80 billion. These tariffs were intended to force China to the negotiating table and create a more favorable trade balance for the United States. However, the results were mixed, with some analysts arguing that the tariffs hurt U.S. consumers and businesses more than they helped. One of the main criticisms of the Trump administration's tariff policies was that they were largely ineffective in achieving their stated objectives. For example, while the tariffs did prompt some negotiations between the U.S. and China, they did not lead to a significant reduction in the U.S. trade deficit or a resolution of the underlying issues in the trade relationship. In fact, China's role as a manufacturing powerhouse made it difficult for the U.S. to impose tariffs without incurring negative consequences. China is responsible for manufacturing a vast array of goods that the U.S. imports, and its ability to produce goods at lower costs makes it a crucial partner in global supply chains. Beyond the economic objectives of the tariffs, there is an undeniable political aspect to their use. Tariffs are often employed not only as a tool for achieving economic goals, but also as a form of political leverage. In the case of the Trump administration, tariffs were part of a broader strategy to assert American dominance in global trade and to challenge what the administration viewed as unfair trade practices by countries like China. The Trump administration's rhetoric surrounding tariffs often framed them as a necessary measure to combat China's alleged unfair trade practices. These accusations included the so-called debt trap diplomacy, intellectual property theft, and forced technology transfers. While some of these accusations have merit, others were viewed as politically motivated, designed to galvanize public opinion and portray China as an economic adversary. By framing the trade relationship in such stark terms, the administration sought to rally support for its policies and justify the imposition of tariffs as a means of standing up to China. However, the political manipulation of tariffs goes beyond the U.S.-China trade war. Tariffs were also used as a tool of negotiation in the broader geopolitical context. For instance, President Trump threatened to impose tariffs on a range of countries, including Canada, Mexico, and European Union nations, in an effort to extract better trade deals. The Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, famously reacted with concern when Trump threatened to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada. This was seen by many as a form of coercion, using the threat of economic punishment to extract political concessions. The use of tariffs as a form of political leverage can create significant tension between countries. While it may force nations to engage in trade negotiations, it can also undermine trust and damage diplomatic relations. The threat of tariffs, particularly when it is seen as arbitrary or politically motivated, can lead to retaliatory measures, such as counter-tariffs or sanctions, that escalate trade disputes and harm global economic stability. Tariffs are powerful tools that can be used to influence trade relationships, protect domestic industries, and assert political power. However, the experience of the Trump administration demonstrates that their use can have significant economic and political consequences. While tariffs may provide temporary relief for certain industries, they often come at the cost of higher prices for consumers, disruptions to global supply chains, and strained international relations. Ultimately, the challenge for any administration is to strike a balance between using tariffs as a protective measure and engaging in diplomatic efforts to address the broader issues underlying trade disputes.